What's up, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. It's the Monday Mirror episode of the program. Wade Neely here, Chris Yao there, Mo Patton somewhere.
Parts unknown.
We're going to keep tabs on Mo throughout the week, but he's on vacation. We hope he's having a great one. And we hope you guys had a great weekend as we get ready to dive into another episode. Again, Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We come to you from the Lee Company Studios. I believe a split studio today. Is that right, partner?
Yeah, clearly. I was I messed up today. I wore my green shirt. So tough. Now I can't have a green screen background.
Tough look. We were chatting in the pre-show, and I was wondering what you might have lined up for us, but I see your plight now, so
it's no good.
That's okay. We're just glad to have you. It'll be fun. We got a great show today, folks. Again, thanks for being with us. We have a big week lined up. Masters obviously going to be a hot topic. We'll talk with Virgil Herring of On the Verge coming up a little bit later in our next segment, as a matter of fact. Monday, we'll obviously have the Monstars, and then Caleb JARREAU from the UT Daily Beacon will join us in our second hour today as we talk all things Vols, but really talk a little orange and white game, talk about – you can never really talk too much football, right?
Never off season. Never an off season.
I feel like that was kind of always the case, but it just seems like the off-season calendar, even at the college game, has just sped up dramatically. And it's just, like you said, always there's something to talk about.
Well, and, particularly with one of the topics that we may get into a little bit later is the transfer portal. Spring opens up tomorrow. So
I'm glad you said that.
All of that, that's a big part of it. That's one of the reasons that there is no off season, because people, coaches, players are moving constantly.
I just, like 10 minutes before I signed on our pre-show, was on the phone with a friend who keeps up with sports, but not really. He's just a casual fan. And even he mentioned, he said, man, this college football, you just got to recruit a brand new roster every year, basically. And that's a casual fan saying that. So you're right.
Including your own roster.
Yeah, exactly. You have to recruit your own roster just as much, if not more now, than you recruit your high school and up-and-coming roster. So we'll talk a little bit about the transfer portal. That will probably be in our second hour as well. We'll obviously have this day in Braves history coming up, but a big show. And I mentioned Monstars, and always some good performances over the weekend. I've got a few already finalizing my list here, but I got a few in the back of my recesses of my brain here. So should be a good weekend. Chris, you had a good weekend, I trust?
Yeah, it was solid, except, well, put it this way. I had my first wedding of the year. The first wedding is always a Monday. It's just always a Monday. It is. And no matter what, something's going to go wrong. Well, I also have new equipment this year.
Okay.
So I went and bought a couple new speakers, got some things, cooking there, and it's been really good. I got to the venue and realized that Sarah had my iPad that I use for mixing. And I did not bring my backpack with my laptop as a backup. And so I was forced to download a DJ app onto my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily I had just enough juice to get us through the night. Nobody was none the wiser, but it was a very stressful 10, 15 minutes before I realized I could do it from my phone.
Yeah, that sounds terrifying. I'm not going to lie to you.
It was scary, no doubt.
Well, the good news is hopefully we can improve upon as you head in. Is the next one coming up soon this weekend?
No. Well, let me tell you what I'm doing this weekend, because it is a really important thing that we have to say today on the show, and that is happy birthday to the one and only Charles Eugene Yao, better known as Chuck to most, and for me, Dad. 65 today. He can retire. I mean, he's been retired, but he could, if that we were doing today. So,
Man,
yeah.
happy birthday to the elder Yao. I'm right there with you. It was a big day yesterday in the Neely household. Mama and Papa Neely celebrating 40 years of marriage. So that was kind of my weekend. But we'll get into more about our weekends in a moment. Should we kick things off like we always do, partner?
Let's do it.
All right, folks. It's time. Everyone's favorite. For your favorite portion of the show, it is time for the Monday Rundown.
This is the Rundown.
Monday Rundown is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education right here in Maury County. Give them a call at 931-388-5831 or visit zioneagles.org to schedule your appointment today. Zion Christian Academy, prepared for college, equipped for purpose.
All right, folks, finally got back onto the diamond after a rainy week last week. Beach down to Independence 5-4. It was Battleground Academy 17-8 winners over Pope Prep. Brentwood 7, Riverdale 4, Columbia Central falls to Summit 8-7, but Columbia Academy with a big one over East Hickman 15-1. Cornersville edging Culleoka 13-12. Wow. CPA a 6-5 winner over Page. Donaldson Christian 6-2 against University School of Nashville. Dixon County falls to Clarksville 7-2. It was Father Ryan 2, Centennial 0. Richland a 9-1 winner over Fayetteville. Franklin Road Academy edging Montgomery Bell 4-3. Westmoreland downs Franklin Simpson of Kentucky 4-3. Portland 10 runs Gallatin 11-1. It was Green Hill 3, Upperman 2. East Nashville 16-0 winners over Hancock County. Harpeth downs John Overton 4-3. It was Hume-Fogg 11-10 winners over Hickman County. Knoxville Catholic blanks Murfreesboro Central 12-0. Giles County falling to Lincoln County 11-1 and to Marshall County 3-1. Is that accurate?
Pretty sure that's accurate, unfortunately.
A double header and two different opponents. Okay.
Actually, I take that. Yeah. I'll get a update on that. I do know they played Marshall County, I believe, twice even this weekend. I don't know if they, like you said, played a split team doubleheader though.
It seems odd, but McGavick, the Bats were out and rolling 24-1 winners over Hunter's Lane. Rossview also rolling with the Bats 18-5 against Liberty Creek. It was Collinwood 12, Santa Fe 0, Science Hill 10, Murfreesboro Central 0, Siegel 4-2 winners over Rockville. Ravenwood gets Station Camp 7-4, Stewart's Creek 10-4 winners over Nolansville, and White House Heritage 9, White House 1.
Saturday baseball scores: Independence a 10-5 winner over Brentwood. CPA knocked off Creekwood 7-4 was your final there. Eagleville takes 2 from Heritage Christian Alabama. First one was 13-3. Second one was 13-1. Good weekend for Eagleville.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, haven't heard of Heritage Christian?
That's a new one.
Yeah, that's a new one to me too. We'll do a deep dive and see, but they didn't have a good trip to Eagleville, I assume, this weekend.
There's a Heritage Christian in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Anyway, continue.
But we're not sure about Alabama. We'll check on that, folks. Father Ryan was a 4-2 winner over John Overton. Hendersonville defeated Friendship Christian 8-7 was your score there. Gallatin defeated Clarksville Northwest 12-3. It was Gallatin also knocking off Warren County. Kind of like Giles County's plight earlier. We're not sure, but we have a score listed 7-3 on Saturday versus Warren County. Speaking of Giles County, I know they played one game Saturday at Sam Davis Park, and I believe it was this score here, the 10-3 loss that Marshall County put on them. So we'll get you the full schedule later, but as of now, I can tell you Saturday, Giles suffered a 10-3 loss to Marshall County. Green Hill knocked off Clarksville 7-3. It was Webb School 10-0 over Laverne. Lawrence County defeated Richland 8-2, and then Loretto in Lawrence County knocked off Davidson Academy 3-0. Middle Tennessee Christian with 2 wins, 11-5 over Jackson Christian, and then 3-1 over Silverdale Academy. Clarksville Academy wins at 13-3 versus Mount Juliet Christian. Mount Pleasant, a 22-6 victory over Wayne County. Murfreesboro Central Magnet and Powell, 2-2. May run out of time, may run out of daylight. Not sure on that, but we have a 2-2 score listed there. Maybe one of our listeners can.
I do think it was a
time or light issue.
Yeah. No, I think it was a tournament that they played pool play.
We just ran out of time there, as it were. 5-4 was the score between Stewart's Creek, who defeated Rockville. East Nashville defeated Rockwood 17-1. Middle Tennessee Monarchs 2, Tennessee Heat 1, Blackman 5, Wilson Central 1.
To the small diamond on Friday, Forest 1-0 winners over Brentwood. Brentwood bouncing back 2-0 over Hendersonville. Bishop Chatard, Indiana, 2-2 against Brentwood Academy. Cheatham County, though, doubles up the Eagles 4-2. It was Canyon County 7-2. Page Blank Centennial 8-0. It was Cheatham County 9, Bishop Chatard 8. Green Hill 14-0 winners over Columbia Academy. My goodness. Lady Dogs bounced back 6-5 against Nolansville. It was Eagleville 12, Ezel Harding 9, Eagleville 5, Independence 3. Wilson Central 14-2 winners over Ezel Harding. Forest 3, Creekwood 0. Greenbrier 11-1 winners over Portland. Creekwood 6, Hendersonville 0. Independence 4-2 over Wilson Central. Green Hill a 5-4 winner over Lincoln County. Friendship Christian 11-2 against Lipscomb Academy. Nolansville 3, Lincoln County 0. Richland 14, Culleoka 0. White House 7-5 winners over Rockville. Rockville also falls to Carnes 8-4. It was Siegel 1, Riverdale 0. John Battle, Virginia, and Station Camp played to a 12-12 tie. Taft of Illinois was a 9-2 winner over Station Camp. Stewart's Creek 4-2 against Smyrna. Watertown blanks Jackson County 16-0. Harpeth blanking White House Heritage 4-0. Houston County doubles up White House Heritage 2-1. And Zion Christian blanks Loretto 10-0.
Saturday scores: Brentwood 2, Brentwood Academy 0. Cheatham County defeated Eagleville 10-5. Columbia knocked off Spring Hill 9-0. Carnes was a 5-2 winner over Creekwood. Mount Juliet defeated Dobbins Bennett 4-0 was your tally there. Wilson Central 4, Eagleville 3. Forest with 2 wins. First versus White House 4-3 there, and then also versus Brentwood in a 7-1 ball game. Green Hill edging Forest, however, in the third game of the day for the Lady Rockets, 9-8. Good win for Green Hill. Station Camp defeats Gorham, Maine 7-5. Green Hill defeating Carnes 8-4. Forest just playing softball all weekend long, folks. They win another game, however, 5-2 versus Hendersonville. So, what is that? 3-1.
They must have been. They must have been in the bracket.
Yeah. They just had to keep riding it because they got the 5-2 win versus Hendersonville. Rockvale defeated Hendersonville 3-0. Independence knocked off Ezel Harding 11-2. Creekwood defeated Independence 5-0. Lincoln County knocks off Columbia Academy 8-1. Marshall County wins a big district game 4-3 versus Lawrence County. White House defeated Nolansville 4-1. Rockvale 5, Collierville 2. Green Hill 5, Rockvale 1. Liberty Creek 14, Springfield 0. Watertown 2, Liberty Creek 1. It was Beach 6, Watertown 1. Carnes was a 6-3 winner over White House. Houston County knocked off White House Heritage 9-0. And Bowling Green, Kentucky, capping our Saturday softball in a tie 2-2 versus White House Heritage.
On Sunday, it was Blackman 9, Community 2, Oakland 11, Riverdale 5, and Columbia Central 4-2 winners over Shelbyville. On the pitch, 9-0 the score for Beach over White House. It was Providence Christian 3-2 winners over Columbia Academy. Father Ryan downs CPA 1-0. It was Gallatin 3-0 against Wilson Central. Tullahoma and Murfreesboro Central a 1-1 draw there. Blackman 1-0 over Riverdale, and Rockville Siegel also a 1-1 draw. On the ice, Predators take 2 over the weekend, 5-1 against Chicago, thank goodness, and 6-4 against the Blue Jackets on Saturday. Friday action in the association, the Lakers down the Grizzlies 123-120, and the season finally comes to a merciful close for Memphis, 126-111, the final for Denver over Memphis there. MLB action on the weekend. Braves take 2 of 3 from the Marlins, 8-1, as well as a 5-1 loss on Saturday, and then bouncing back with a Big Bear homer in the 9th to take the 9-7 win on Sunday in the rubber match. For the Astros, they fall to the Rangers 12-8 on Friday, but bounce back and get the series win with a pair of wins, 9-2 on Saturday and 8-5 on Sunday. For the Sounds, they fall on Friday and Saturday 6-0 and 8-3, but bounce back, doubling up Memphis on Sunday 8-4.
To the schedule we go now. Games beginning at 4 o'clock. These are baseball showdowns. Glencliff is at MLK. 4:30 contest. Mount Juliet at Good Pasture. Zion Christian traveling to Christian Community. Lawson taking on Hume Fogg tonight. Maplewood is at Stratford at 4:30. Franklin Road Academy visits Webb School. East Nashville is at Whites Creek. A 4:45 first pitch between Henry County and Kenwood. Game being played at Kenwood tonight. DCA at Davidson Academy is that's a 5 o'clock start. 5:30 showdowns now. Richland is at Hampshire. Just one showdown. 6 o'clock, Dixon County is at Clarksville Northwest. University School of Nashville is at Columbia Academy. Clarksville Academy traveling to Ezel Harding tonight. Nashville Christian visiting Friendship Christian. Franklin County comes to Pulaski, taking on the Giles County Bobcats. Mount Pleasant is at Lewis County. Springfield visiting Kirkwood tonight. Glencliff traveling to MLK. Culleoka visits Santa Fe. Watertown will host Jackson County tonight. Providence Christian will also host Grace Christian Franklin. That game now beginning in these games at 6:30. Page is at Ravenwood tonight. Columbia traveling to Shelbyville. Warren County at Spring Hill. Cane Ridge at McGavock tonight. Rossview is at Clarksville. Siegel versus Beach, game being played at Beach. Middle Tennessee Christian at BGA. Centennial at Brentwood. West Creek versus Clarksville Northeast. Huntland is on the road tonight at Eagleville. Hillsboro traveling to John Overton. Marshall County at Lawrence County in another big district matchup to cap our 6:30 games. Now at 7 o'clock tonight, Harpeth is at Cheatham County. Summertown is at Loretto. Portland traveling to Macon County. Tullahoma at Murfreesboro Central Magnet. Greenbrier at Station Camp. East Robertson traveling to White House tonight. And Trousdale County, Chris, will visit White House Heritage.
Again, back to the small diamond at 4:30. It's Clarksville Academy at Davidson Academy. Middle Tennessee Christian hosting Franklin Road Academy. Pope Preps at home against Martin Luther King. Mount Juliet is at Providence Christian. That one is at 4 o'clock today. Murfreesboro Central and Blackman at a time I'm unsure of at this time. At 5 o'clock, Ravenwoods at Nolensville. Santa Fe welcomes Lewis County. Clarksville Christians at South Haven Christian. Former host of the TSSAA State softball tournament. Beach at Springfield. Hendersonville at Station Camp. Wayne County at home against Mount Pleasant. Lebanon goes to East Robertson. St. Cecilia's at Ezel Harding. Gallatin's at Friendship Christian. Zion Christian at home against Riverside Christian. At 5:30, it's John Overton at Centennial. Donaldson Christian welcomes Nashville Christian. Henry County going to Dixon County. Marshall County is at Giles County, and that one can be heard, of course, on Pulaski Citizen Live. Lawrence County's at Tullahoma. Watertown playing host to Smith County. Clarksville goes to Stewart's Creek. Summertown is at Columbia Academy. Good Pasture at Ezel Harding. Richland at Cornersville. And at 6:30 tonight, Stewart's Creek's at Eagleville. Good Pastures at Page. Wilson Central's at Riverdale at 7. Also at 7, Zion Christian's at Riverside. And Brentwood is at Rockvale.
Boys soccer action to cap our schedule tonight. Mount Juliet Christian visiting Clarksville Academy. That game beginning at 5. Also at 5, Knowledge Academies is at STEM Academy. 5:30 kickoff tonight between Giles County, who's traveling to Lewisburg for a showdown versus rival Marshall County. 6 p.m. tonight, Grace Christian Franklin at Webb School. 6:30 tonight, Franklin Christian traveling to Zion Christian. Columbia visiting Spring Hill, big rivalry showdown. That kickoff also beginning at 6:30. Capping our soccer schedule tonight, Dixon County is at West Creek. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m. Nashville Predators on the road tonight, traveling to take on the Penguins. That's the regular season finale, I do believe, right?
It's a big one because the Preds could end the Preds with a win in the Penguins' playoff hopes on their own ice, and I would love nothing more than that.
Preds fans would love nothing more, like you said. So that puck drop is at 6 o'clock tonight, can be seen on Bally Sports South. Braves and Astros, they're both in action tonight. Matter of fact, they're playing each other, partner, and it's the Astros playing home to the Braves for this big series. We'll have fun chatting about it all week long. 7:10 is your first pitch tonight. The game can be seen on MLB Network or Bally Sports. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your rundown. Top story today brought to you by our friends at Piggly Wiggly at Neely's Mill. And Chris, let's just dive right in, as this will be a abbreviated top story. We'll come back and visit some of this a touch later. But how about the big news? I was unaware of this until the weekend. Honestly, it was quietly kept. But
no doubt,
the Arizona Coyotes are on the move. They're going to stay out west, but the Coyotes are now, or at least a team, an NHL team that was in Arizona, is now moving to a new western locale. As that is announced, they will be relocating to Salt Lake City in Utah.
It's a weird way to put it because they're not going to be the Coyotes. The Coyotes will stay in Phoenix for the next 5 years. They will have the ability to negotiate an arena lease deal, which would allow them to bring a franchise back to Arizona. So this is kind of a potential expansion-ish move, but they're keeping the players so they don't get the expansion draft. And I don't know if you've heard this or not, but the players and the families of the players are not excited.
I heard a little chatter, and again, it kind of caught me off guard over the weekend. I heard or read one report that some players were already invited to basically go visit Salt Lake right after it almost seemed like a few hours after their season ended. And that was why I was semi-hesitant or the way I tried to word the story, because as I understand it, there's potentially already talks that a team, maybe not for sure, will come back to Arizona, but it seems like there's a little more possibility than you would initially think after you just get rid of a team. It seems like they're at least they could return.
Yeah, they have 5 years. If they can secure an arena deal within 5 years, they automatically get a team.
Get back in, right back into it.
So that's the weird part about all this. That's never happened before in professional sports that I'm aware of. They've been playing at Arizona State's 5,000 seat Mullet Arena, and it's obviously not NHL standards. So they had to go somewhere else. Salt Lake City's been clamoring for a team in another pro sport for a very long time. And so guess they're going to get their chance.
Yeah, we will. And with that, obviously, you now wonder what happens. Does this open the door for a couple more franchises potentially?
Potentially Major League Baseball?
Yep.
We shall see.
Salt Lake City with a chance to kind of prove its mettle as a sport outside of the NBA. So, again, we'll revisit that a little bit later, and we certainly got some Preds chatter still to come. But right up on the other side of this break, again, our top story today was brought to you by our friends at Piggly Wiggly at Neely's Mill. Make sure you check them out right there in the heart of downtown Columbia. Chris, Masters weekend, we couldn't think of anybody better. We got Virgil Herring patiently waiting in the green room on the other side of this timeout. And when we come back on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, we will talk about the 2024 Masters. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be back right after this.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome back, folks. It is the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Wade Neely here, Chris Yao there. We come to you from the Lee Company Studios. And
yes, we do.
Woo! It feels good to be back. Weekend flew by, and there was a lot of golf watching, I must admit. But I leave the Masters every year kind of just wanting a little more. I kind of get settled in over the weekend, and I kind of want a little more, and we couldn't think of anybody better to join us, and we're proud to bring in our next guest. Virgil Herring is a multi-time TMPGA Teacher of the Year. He's an author. He's a golf guru, really, by every stretch of the word, and he's also the host of On the Verge podcast, and he joins us now. Virgil, I just got to ask you first and foremost, how surprised should we be that Scotty Scheffler wins his second green jacket? He delivered an outstanding performance, but should we really be shocked after what we've seen out of this guy the last several years now?
I would say that we're not shocked at all. I mean, if you look at the analytics, his proximity to the hole is as good or better than Tiger Woods in his prime, and he is definitely a better driver of the golf ball than Tiger Woods. The difference is that Tiger Woods had a high level of spectacular and artistry in him, and Scotty Scheffler's a little bit more vanilla. But my goodness, does he deliver at what it takes to be great? It is as good as it gets.
I heard somebody say it going into the tournament last week that he's the best ball striker or best irons player, maybe however you want to phrase it, that the game has right now. And really the only hole in his game is his putting. And if he is putting well, it's pretty much game over. But, man, he was hitting some amazing iron shots, so I'm inclined to believe that. But it seems like his putting was there all weekend long, Virgil.
Well, if he doesn't lose any strokes, there's a stat that the PGA Tour covers called strokes gained putting, and it's just a statistical breakdown of percentages. If he is just zero, he's not losing. And when he doesn't win, he's like losing 1.4 strokes putting. But if he is putting neutral, it's over. And I think he had positive strokes gained. And I predicted that he'd win by 4, and it just so happens that he did win by 4, and he put on a clinic. And I think that everybody knows that, much like when Tiger was in his prime, if Scotty Scheffler plays well, everybody's playing for second place.
Yeah, and kind of the way this is unfolded here now for Scotty, we've seen him have such great success. He's still a relatively young guy. I guess immediately I wonder, is he in his prime, or is maybe his prime still yet to come? Are we entering another kind of potential Tiger-ish type run for this guy in your mind, Virgil?
I think so, but I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to that, right? I mean, he's now going to go into his next major, maybe not have played in a golf tournament. He's expecting his first child. That's the only thing that matters to him. He's a very religious guy and a very family-oriented guy. I would say there's a really good chance he doesn't play a tournament until the PGA Championship. So now you're dealing with rust. You're dealing with life rust. He may not be as sharp as he could be going into Valhalla. But my guess is if he drives it any kind of way he drove it at Augusta National, and it's Valhalla, albeit a great golf course, is nowhere near as difficult as Augusta National. I mean, I'm talking nowhere near as difficult. He could piece it together. He'll be a threat. But whether the 4 weeks of rust will take its toll, it's possible. But at the end of the day, once he kind of reacclimates himself to his new life, I think he's got at least 10 more years of potential dominance because he's got a big frame. He doesn't really overexert himself in his golf swing. It's not violent. And he hits it unbelievably straight and long. That's the recipe for longevity. That's for sure.
Virgil, you mentioned that Scotty Scheffler is as good now as Tiger was in his prime. Data Golf updated their list of the top 200 golfers at the best, who was the best at their best over the last 3 decades. And Scheffler passed Vijay Singh for the number 2 spot, 2004 Vijay Singh, trailing just now, September 11th, 2000, Tiger Woods. And it's not by much. And it's pretty impressive that he's been able to do that, coming off of winning back-to-back Players Championships. I mean, it just seemed like it was all set up for Scotty. Now, on Sunday, he probably wins by more than 4 if he doesn't get off to a semi-shaky start.
Yeah, and once again, he admits that he misread the wind on 1 and misread it again on 2, causing 2 really offline shots. His short game was really critical to his success. But I mean, at the end of the day, you're playing with history on your backpack. Who knows how well he slept? He's got his wife and potential child on the way. He's got a lot of stuff in his mind. And right now, when he's winning, he's thinking to himself, how do I not blow this? He's trying to figure out how to get off to a steady start. And really what he wants to do, and that actually ended up working out perfectly, was he wanted somebody to go beat him. And when you're trying to play aggressive at Augusta National, rolling the dice all day long at Augusta National to try to catch up, that ain't going to work. And it showed again. It was almost eerily similar to 2019's Tiger victory, in which everybody was forced to do something. And as soon as they had to do something, they fell apart. And the golf course, and especially the conditions they played in, which was pretty severe, that led to, the leader, which happened to be Scotty Scheffler, could just kind of coast and let's see what others are doing. And slowly but surely, Morikawa makes 2 doubles in 3 holes. Homa hits it over the green up into the weeds. Oberg hits it in the water. And next thing you know, there's really nobody left. And then with that pressure off, he hits so many close iron shots starting from hole 9 in that it was over. And it was a beautiful scenario for Scotty Scheffler, that's for sure.
Talking with Virgil Herring of On the Verge podcast, breaking down this weekend's Masters. And Virgil, we kind of led off obviously with Scotty winning, but you mentioned Oberg. I think a lot of folks come out of this tournament thinking, number one, I didn't know a lot about this guy. Number two, I'm thinking, man, he seems like he could be fun to watch. But I loved what you just said, and I hadn't thought about it until then. It does kind of remind me of what happened in 2019 because everybody else, Scotty played great, but it seemed like no one really on Sunday especially gave themselves a real shot to try and put themselves to put the pressure back on Scotty down the stretch.
And I would also say the combination of the conditions and what the Augusta National has done to lengthen the golf course took away a lot of the eagle opportunities on 13 and 15. We didn't see many of those. And whether you like that or not, that diminished the opportunities to make big scale gains on somebody. A 3-shot swing is not that uncommon if somebody eagles 13 while the leader makes a bogey. We've seen that before. But in this particular case, Scheffler hit a very nice iron shot in on 12, and nobody could take advantage of the par 5s, partly because of wind, partly because it was too risky, and it worked out perfect. And once again, I really think there's going to be plenty of chatter after we stop celebrating Scotty about whether we think that lengthening those holes made it more exciting or better for golf or not. I would say not, but we still got the best champion.
Virgil, we're also contractually pretty much obligated to mention Tiger Woods obviously made the cut, which was so fun to watch. And Chris and Mo and I were in studio on Friday, and we kind of all fist pumped when we got that news. Throws up an 82 on Saturday, and then obviously followed up with a 5 over 77 yesterday. Did we learn anything about Tiger Woods other than, man, this guy is just really having to gut and grind just to even finish 4 days of golf at this point in his career?
I think that the fan who watches golf every major championship only learned that, wow, Tiger Woods still swings at it beautifully. He can't walk the golf course. And, wow, how Father Time's winning. But when you're a person in the industry, there's a combination of just being able to watch that great golf swing and reminisce on all the legendary things that he did. But I really also think between the problem that we have with the PGA Tour and LIV and the divisiveness of the game, Tiger's taken an ambassadorship role of trying to carry the PGA Tour as pertains to viewership and popularity. I think he's sacrificing his body a touch to do his role to keep it going, because I'm here to tell you the PGA Tour is in big trouble. And if they don't figure something out, and golf itself is in big trouble, I should say that. But if they don't figure something out, people are stopping watching. Scotty Scheffler might be as good as Tiger Woods, but he doesn't have the flair and the charisma and the wow. That doesn't make Scotty Scheffler a bad person. Right. It just means for eyeballs and dollar signs, Scotty Scheffler is vanilla. I mean, solid vanilla. I mean, just as good as it gets. But he's going to give you how much his faith means to him and how God's his caddy. And, that doesn't sell compared to the fist pumps and the chasing down his 4-iron with a look of dominance. Like, that sells. And what Scotty Scheffler does should, but it doesn't sell.
Yeah, great comparison. As we're getting ready to chime in here.
Well, yeah, I just think that you're right, and in that you have to have. It's still entertainment. It's still sports entertainment, and it just is what the golf can be fantastic, but there is only a certain part of the golf watchers who are watching for that. It's much like NASCAR. There are a lot of folks who watch NASCAR for the passing. Most of us watch it for the wrecks. Most of us are watching, are watching sports for the excitement factor. And when the most vanilla guy on the course beats the crap out of everybody else, it just makes for a boring Sunday. It just does. And so I did like what you said about Tiger's swing. And I'm curious because I think we're 2 years away from his ability to play on the seniors tour. I don't know that he'll ever play there, but if he did, they let him have carts there. I'm just saying it might be over for the seniors.
Yeah, I think that his goal is to play and play actively. And I think that, deep down inside, for all the greatness that Tiger is, he's pretty one-dimensional. He's a golf guy. He doesn't have any other thing that really kind of occupies his interest, and I think that he wants to compete until he literally can't compete anymore. So I expect him to go out there, and I expect him to absolutely run away with it going forward, especially when his number one competition is now barred, which would be Phil Mickelson.
Boy, that's and as a guy who grew up really enjoying the Regions event down in Birmingham, and you see the Pro-Am event, that place and every other place like it will be just jam-packed, and that might be what gets some folks back into golf. Who knows?
It's definitely going to give a shot in the arm of the Champions Tour, and how much it does for golf will only show up in a subtle way as it builds goodwill and the other things that it does on a slow mover for the Champions Tour. But as long as he still competes in the major championships, and as long as golf is divided like it is right now, I don't care what anybody says. Right now, there are only 4 events that count because it's the only 4 events that the best players in the world play. And if they don't figure that problem out, golf's in gigantic problem.
Yeah, Virgil, talking with Virgil Herring of On the Verge podcast. I was just getting ready to ask you, what is and you kind of answered it a little bit there. What's the big picture takeaway, especially for the casual fans after this tournament? It was just fun watching everybody get together between the two tours. And I guess I'm curious, where do we go from here? Is there a big kind of big takeaway in your mind for the two tours, and obviously where we go in terms of ratings and things of that nature?
Well, I mean, what you're dealing with here are 3 groups of people that 2 years ago thought they were the most important person in the world. Jay Monahan, the PIF or the Saudi fund, and this group of people that are the SSG, the first big investors of the PGA Tour, which is the owner of the Boston Red Sox, the owner of the Falcons, and a handful of other minority owners and other sports teams, right? So they all, like, you're putting in billions of dollars into something, you're not looking to also give up control. So when you have the guy from the Red Sox and the Falcons, they put in $3 billion. They're not going to want to do an agreement with the PIF and give Yasser the total control over it. And I'm not sure after what happened in June of last year that they want Jay Monahan to control anything else other than whether they choose Popeyes or Chick-fil-A for lunch. That's about it. So to me, the big problem is who's going to be in charge. I don't think anybody truly wants the Saudi money to be in charge of the tour, but they would like to have the Saudi money to elevate things and make it a better production and make it more entertaining. I can understand that, but that seems pretty interesting if you're the one that has the endless pockets like the Saudis do, to think you're going to take a back seat and who's making the calling the shots. And it's just basically a gigantic ego fight on who's going to have control. And I don't know if it gets done. And I think the bigger issue is not whether the PGA Tour can agree with the PIF. The bigger issue is going to be the Department of Justice okaying it, because there is a lot of things in that hearing that they had where the PGA Tour got absolutely smacked upside the head with where their money's going. And they also don't like the idea of a country that is now linked to how the Twin Towers fell, the Pentagon went down, and the other plane went down over 9/11. I don't think they want to have that, even though they're already taking their money in a multitude of ways. Now putting it on a billboard would make it a little unsavory. And I think the DOJ is going to be the biggest hurdle on this, and we'll see. But I think that there's where we run into problems. A lot of the best players took the money and run. And the apple cart could completely fall if Rory McIlroy decides to take $850 million. If Rory McIlroy leaves, let me tell you something. The PGA Tour is in a world of hurt. A world of hurt. They need Rory almost as bad as they need Tiger Woods. And they hung Rory McIlroy out to dry last year. And I guarantee you, part of why he's struggling, the part of why he is so angry, why he's kind of acting off, is he got exposed and humiliated. And now he's out there representing a brand that humiliated him. Yes, he's making a ton of money. Yes, he's chasing history. But he got humiliated in front of his brethren, and he didn't like it. And I personally think he's torn between, he doesn't need $850 million for sure. He knows he's still chasing history. And history is where the PGA Tour is. The future is where the live is. But $850 million and a chance to stick it to somebody that hung you out to dry, they're competitors. They're kind of like assassins or snipers. Somebody took a shot at them. I will not be surprised if he takes a shot at them back. And although he said he wouldn't do it, how many of them said they weren't going to do it? Other than Phil, all of them said, I'm not doing it. And then, oops, I had 800 million reasons to do it. So that's what's going to be interesting going forward for sure.
Yeah, I love the way that you laid that out, Virgil, as the PGA is the past and the present, but LIV is kind of that future that you could kind of see. It will certainly be interesting to see how these current guys kind of navigate that and how golf kind of adapts going forward. And we certainly appreciate you joining us today, Virgil. I know it was a busy weekend for you, but we always love having you on, and we certainly look forward to chatting more golf with you here again very soon, my friend.
It's always an honor to be on. Anytime you need me, I'm here.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Virgil. We'll see you soon. That was Virgil Herring of On the Verge podcast, longtime golf presence here in Middle Tennessee. Chris, I could do a lot with $850 million.
Yeah, I could do if you just leave the zero off.
I could do a lot with $850. How about that? Today is tax day, by the way. So just pointing that out there. But Virgil made a great point. I mean, the future of golf is interesting. And number one, there wasn't
whatever future there may be.
Yeah, whatever future is going to look like. But you had Scotty running away with it, which no one likes to see a runaway anyway. But he doesn't have that pizzazz. He doesn't have that kind of quote-unquote swagger, bravado about him. And that doesn't lead to the casual fan really getting too fired up, it seems like.
No, it was a rough Sunday for golf. A great Sunday for Scotty Scheffler, and obviously his dominance on the back nine was just. If you like golf, you enjoyed watching him just be near perfect. But other than that, it was a tough day. But that's part of it. That's something. When Tiger won by 11 strokes, everybody enjoyed it, but it was because he did it with flair and did it with excitement. And oh my God, did you see what he just did? And Scotty's just hit it straight, hit it close to the pin, tap it in. It's boring, but it's effective.
Yep, he certainly made it look easy.
$12.6 million he's won in the last 35 days.
That is bonkers.
35 days.
Yeah, what did I see? I saw a stat that he's thrust himself into the top 10 of the all-time money list for sure, and I think he's already up to like maybe even sixth.
He's 27 years old?
Yeah.
That's insane.
And kind of a weird situation. Great guy, elite competitor, fantastic player. But as we say, all that may not move the needle. No one's ever going to move it, I don't think, as much as Tiger Woods. But Scheffler is kind of the guy right now. And so they tee it up. RBC Heritage is this week, but the real big next big tune-in for the sport of golf is going to be May 13th through 19th. As Virgil told us, they'll be at Valhalla Golf Club in Louisville for the PGA Championship. U.S. Open is in mid-June this year over at Pinehurst in North Carolina. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side of this timeout, we will have Monstars. It would be easy.
Woo-hoo.
It would be easy to throw Scotty Scheffler in there as the Monstar. So I'm going to maybe dig a little, peel back the curtain a little bit and see who I can come up with. You look like you've already got a good list assembled, though.
I've got 3, so if you steal one, I'm going to have to come up with something off the fly, but we'll see.
We'll see. We're going to take a break. Like I said, we got Monstars on the other side of this timeout. You're watching Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Wade Neely and Chris Yao, we're back right after this.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Welcome back, folks. Main Street Sports Today continues. We're presented, as always, by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, and we come to you from the Lee Company Studios. Wade Neely here, Chris Yao there. Chris, it's Monday. You know what that means. You had a little bit of, what'd you give, a whoop-whoop earlier?
Yeah, just a woo.
I was hoping for a little more of a flex because it's Monday Monstars. And that's where we break down our best performances of the weekend, things that caught our eye. And there was a lot of sports to get into. And I mentioned we could easily throw Scotty Scheffler in there as he ran away with the Masters. That was kind of the singular sporting event that had a lot of my attention this weekend. But I'm going to defer to you to kick things off. Who caught your eye? Who were some breakout performers in your mind over the weekend to kick off Monstars?
Well, we'll start – and we'll fire up the siren down in Dawsonville, Georgia. For the first time in nearly 3 years, Chase Elliott gets the dub on Sunday at Texas. Congratulations to Chase and the folks down in Dawsonville as they get to fire up the siren.
We'll talk more NASCAR coming up on our Wednesday program with Heather Williams. But did I see this right? Was it double overtime?
Yeah, second overtime, so second green-white checker.
I'm still not really used to hearing the words overtime in terms of NASCAR, I suppose, but I did see that screen grab or that headline yesterday, so that'll be a big one. That's a good one. And going into this, I'm going to get this one out of the way early because I had a hunch you might steal this, but I got to give a shout-out. My first Monstar this week is Morgan Price, and for those that don't know who Morgan Price is, well, first of all, she's a beast, but now she is a historic gymnast. As a member of the Fisk University gymnastics squad, she claimed an all-around gold medal as during the weekend's 2024 USA Gymnastics Women's Collegiate National Championships. That was in Westchester, PA, of course. She became the first athlete from an HBCU to win the all-around title. She had a 39.225 with scores in floor exercise, uneven bars, balance beam, and vault, which I had to say, Chris, just because that's probably the only time I'll ever get to say that on this show. But how about the effort? There was a lot of chatter about the Fisk program, and then it's cool to see them doing so well as a team. But then obviously now they have the national championship to back it up.
Yeah, we've spoken with both the AD, the coach, and that program is just it's historic in and of itself, but then of course to be good, and they are, is important too. And so them being able to claim a gold medalist, a national champion, that's huge. And congrats to that young lady because clearly she was killing it.
Next up for you.
For me, we'll go to the UFL.
Come on.
And we'll go with Birmingham Stallions quarterback Adrian Martinez as they trounced the Boats on Saturday night in front of 12,000 plus folks at Protective Stadium. 18 of 28 was Martinez through the air, 334 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also led the team in rushing with 44 yards and a score as well. Big day for the Nebraska Castoff, who spent his last year at Kansas State, I think.
I think that is correct. I remember him being a solid player at Nebraska.
Yeah, kind of got threw away up there. May didn't get the love maybe he deserved, because dude is killing it right now. Has essentially taken the job from Matt Corral.
Yeah, you mentioned it a couple weeks ago. You said that was a stacked quarterback room, and
dude,
you're right. From Nebraska to Kansas State, Martinez putting up a big performance this weekend, and like you said, beating out those guys and then balling out. In addition to the fact that that's impressive.
It is.
Up next for me, bit of a homer pick, but I got to give a quick shout out because Houston hadn't won many games this year. Major League Baseball. How about the performance from Jose Altuve? The haters of the world will say, yeah, well, he went 0 for 4 on Friday, but that was then and this is now. Saturday, Altuve bounced back with a 3 for 5 performance on Saturday, 2 doubles and 2 RBIs as the Houston Astros got that 9-2 win then. And then last night in his first 2 at-bats, he has 2 home runs, 2 solo homers. He finishes 3 for 5 there. Altuve is now batting close to 400. I know we're early in the season, but he's swinging a hot stick, and Houston needed some wins, partner. So I'll take Jose Altuve for my second shout-out on Monstars.
I hear you. All right, my final Monstar. This is more of a career achievement award, but over the weekend, Andrew McCutchen hit his 300th home run. This one was for the Pittsburgh Pirates, but he did it in Philadelphia, a place where he also spent a couple of years playing for the Phils. And so pretty cool thing for him to get his 300th there as a member even of another team. Becomes one of 13 players with 2,000 hits, 300 homers, 200 doubles, 45 triples, and I want to say 400 stolen bases, something like that. Dude, just there was a time where I think Andrew McCutchen might have been an iffy Hall of Famer, but I don't think it's iffy at this point.
He's got crazy.
His last few years have been unfortunate, hampered by injuries and sorts, and maybe that hurts him. But I mean, for those of us who watched Andrew in his prime, man, that guy was just phenomenal each and every time out.
Love McCutchen. I was glad to see that over the weekend as well. First run with the Pirates. I made a trip to Cincinnati just to watch him play, and he hit a couple of dingers in that series. So I've always enjoyed watching him play, and a very historic achievement. 5-time All-Star Andrew McCutchen. Just still getting it done, even like you said, hampered by injury down the stretch, but he's still getting it done. Chris, as we close Monstars, while you were DJing Saturday night, the internet was ablaze for UFC 300, and that's my final Monstar. Max Holloway, for those that maybe have not seen the clip, just a crazy situation. This guy is winning the fight versus Dustin Gaethje, and he's winning the fight with 10 seconds, 20 seconds maybe left to go in the fight, and he says, you know what? How about we just get in the center of the octagon one last time and throw hands? And Holloway threw hands, all right. He knocks out Gaethje with 2 or 1 second, depending on when you officially credit the knockout. So to call out a guy and say, let's just get in here and just swing for the final little bit, even though you're winning the fight, and then knock that guy out, I thought was impressive and worthy of a Monstars bid this week.
You and I have been known to dabble in wagering, but is there a worse beat than if you had Holloway in a decision? 1 second.
That is,
if you had Holloway by decision and that is a tough beat.
Yeah. And when you set that up, I was trying to run through the scenarios in my head. I was like, bad beat. Once I was like, oh yeah. If you have Max via decision right there, you're like, I am made in the shade. This is easy money. Oh my goodness. He knocked him out.
That's so crazy. I would have been so mad. I would have tried to go find Max and punch him myself.
Yeah, that is that's an all-time bad beat right there. And that's why sports gambling sometimes cannot be very fun. So
1-800-GAMBLER if you have a
problem. A quick reminder, folks, 1-800-GAMBLER if you need some help after Max gave you a bad beat over the weekend. God. good set of Monstars. We've got some local folks that we will obviously be shouting out later this week with our local TSWA regional or player of the week awards. So we kept it a little regional and national for these, but don't worry, our local folks will be getting some shout outs later in the week. We are just past the top of the hour. You're watching Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Chris and I are here in the Lee Company studios, and when we come back, we will kick off hour number 2. Still to come, we have Braves chatter. We have This Day in Braves History coming up next. We'll talk about Jackie Robinson Day, and still to come in our second hour, we're going to talk balls as the orange and white game went down this weekend, and Caleb JARREAU from the UT Daily Beacon will be here in hour number 2 to break that down. So come on back. Chris and I return right after this here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
This day in Braves history, going back to 1954 when Hank Aaron doubled in the first inning and then singled and scored in the bottom of the third as Milwaukee defeated St. Louis 7-6. Those two hits were the first of his 3,771 in his major league career, the third most hits in Major League Baseball history behind Pete Rose and Ty Cobb. That seems good.
quality company, right?
I mean, well, you ask.
quality company in terms of statistical achievements. How about that?
Yes. There you go.
Try and get a bit of a save there. That was this day in Braves history. You're watching hour number 2 of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We are in the Lee Company mobile studios today. Wade Neely here, Chris Yao there. And Chris,
I'm in the actual studio, though.
You're in the real studio.
I'm in the actual Lee Company studio. I don't know if they need to come by and fix the air conditioner, or if I just need to turn it on, but something needs to happen because I'm sweating.
Oof. We're in that weird. We'll get into baseball here in just one second, but we're in that weird spot. I don't know about you, but at certain points of the day, I'm borderline basically turning the heat on, and then I'm also having to crank the air conditioner on in the same day. It shouldn't be like that.
No borderline. This morning I got in the car, had to turn the heat on because it was chilly. And of course I'm wearing shorts because, well, I knew it was going to be 80 degrees today. So then by the time you get to the afternoon, you get in your car and the heat's still on from this morning. You're like, oh crap. You got to turn it on, the air conditioner because it's burning up inside the car. And yeah, it's just one of those days where you just got to kind of make it work, and it is what it is. But yeah, this is the tough time of year. You get to that springtime where it's cool in the morning, cool in the evening, but hot during the day.
I don't know what it is. I know it's basically the same thing, but I don't like this version, but I love the fall version. Those first couple Friday nights when you're out covering high school football, you got the shorts and the long sleeves going. That's my favorite time of the year. But
that's probably what I'll be wearing when I go out to Columbia Academy tonight.
The inverse of that is not going to be the same. I'm going to be at the Giles County softball game tonight. Hey, speaking of which, by the way, we and I promise folks we're getting into our Braves chatter here in just one second.
Are we?
I did yes, because we got some nice wins for both of our clubs this weekend. But we were correct, my friend Chris Yao. Giles County played the rare doubleheader at Lincoln County, game 1 versus Marshall County, and then they took on Lincoln County after, and then they resumed the series, as it were, versus Marshall County on Saturday. So a neutral site district game between Giles and Marshall.
Well, I wonder if it was a tri match like volleyball used to do, where all three play each other.
Yeah, just
did
load it
Lincoln
up.
County and Marshall County play before Giles got there? I don't know.
I would hope so, but I digress. As teased, as promised, let's dive in. MLB chatter. How about the series? Break it down for us. After a rough go of it at times versus the Mets last week, the weekend, maybe not as pretty as Braves fans would have liked, but you do take 2 out of 3, 8-1 Friday night, 5-1 loss on Saturday, but a thrilling 9-7 victory versus the Marlins last night. All those games, Chris, being played on the road.
Yeah, you feel like the Marlins they're struggling. They had won one ball game to that point in the season, and obviously, the Braves pitching has been suspect, even with Spencer Strider on the bump, and it has certainly not been perfect. Chris Sale had a decent outing. I think he, gave up a bases clearing double in that loss on Saturday that with ABS or a challenge system may not have been an opportunity, because would have potentially been a strikeout based on what we've seen on umpire auditor, et cetera, umpire scorecards and all of that. Mm-hmm. So, you take away those 3 runs right there, and then it gets into a ball game. Of course, it doesn't really matter. The Braves only scored 1 run, and you can't win games just scoring 1 run. And then on Sunday, they bounced back with a big offensive output. And again, Marcell Ozuna, who loves hitting in Miami, just continues his absolute tear going back to last season. So, this offense is capable of winning games for you. I mean, you have to. Mo and I have said this 100 times. You have to get them out 27 times, and not one of them is easy.
No, and Mo, you and I have discussed at length too. Yeah, in a perfect world, you'd have your pitching staff only giving up 1, 2, 3 runs a game. Very, very quality pitching. but there's more than one way to win a game, as we've discussed. And the fact that Atlanta's lineup can literally just outslug teams, that's what scares me the most about the Braves is on nights when their pitching is not great, it's still not even close to a guarantee that you are going to get a win because that lineup is so fearful.
Yeah. I mean, what do you do when you've got you've got to go up against Max Fried, you've got to go up against Chris Sale and Charlie Morton, and you go, okay, well, we can handle these pitchers, especially when you get past those three, right? I mean, it could be anybody. It could be Elder and Smith-Shawver or Winans or anybody. Problem is that you still got to stop them. You still got to get them out. And that is the ultimate cheat code right now, because the Braves are just, they're as good as anyone. And even their outs are scary. I mean, they average higher than 90 miles an hour exit velocity. And that's, I mean, even on ground balls and pop flies and line drives that end up being outs, those will find their way through at some point, because when you hit the ball hard, it's going to find its way to some grass. And that's what this Braves team does, man. Even their outs are scary.
Talked about Ozuna, of course, but in your mind, anybody else worthy of a shout out who had a big weekend and who's maybe potentially in line to get on a little bit of a roll for these guys now?
Before this weekend, I would have said Ozzy, but he kind of cooled off, and that's okay. Nothing terrible about that. Nothing that you're worried about it. This Braves team, man, it's really hard to just pinpoint somebody that you think could go on a roll, because it could literally be anyone at any time. That's just how this team rolls, man. It's as deep of a lineup as you could possibly want. Matt Olson, this guy just does nothing but hit doubles. You've got Orlando Arcia has 7 doubles on the year. I mean, that's how deep this lineup is that 8-hole hitter Orlando Arcia is just out here raking, hitting 340, slugging 472. He's a freaking shortstop. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. I can't help you, because it's just ridiculous. When Ronald Acuna Jr. has the lowest OPS on your team, just I don't even know why anybody else tries. Y'all are going to try this week, though.
Well, I was going to segue us into it. I suppose we might as well mention it. It's best that you and I are in 2 different places. We just talked about UFC. I don't think either one of us is ready to throw hands, but our teams are colliding, my friend. We got a 7:10 first pitch tonight on Jackie Robinson Day. They'll also play at 7:10 tomorrow, and then they'll cap.
I want to be on TBS tomorrow.
TBS tomorrow night?
Nationally televised. Remember the last time that these 2 teams were on TBS? I bet you don't want to remember, do you? My bad.
I mean, you just had to go there. I knew it would come up, but you just off the top.
I guess that was on Fox. But
just off the top, you just went there. But it is
they
Braves
laid it
and
out for me
Astros
with the TBS.
Yeah, they walked right into it. They will cap the series on Wednesday. 3-game set in Houston. 1:10 is your first pitch on Wednesday. We mentioned it is Jackie Robinson Day today. And Houston,
I love how. So I go to the ESPN matchup tracker, and it says Darius Vines, RHP number 42. So, and then of course Spencer Arrighetti, right-handed pitcher, number 42. Like that's pretty funny.
It will throw you off, and so everybody's wearing 42. Obviously, this is a very historic day, a very worthy day to celebrate, recognize, and honor the legacy of Jackie Robinson. And so, but I always wonder this as a statistician and as a media proprietor, if you're working for the team or an entity involving stats and stuff, it's got to be a little confusing, right?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, you just kind of have to know. You got to pay really close attention as to what's going on, because obviously they don't have any names on the back of their jersey. It'd be a little easier if there were names, but there are no names. It just says 42, and so
today's the day where you don't need even one spotter. You need like 2 or 3 spotters.
Yeah,
and even in a sport like baseball, where you pretty much know the sport moves slow enough that you can kind of figure everything out on the front end. When a play happens, and it happens in the blink of an eye, you got to really just don't be trying to stat a major rundown by any stretch tonight. That would where things really get dicey, right? If you're trying to figure out who had the 9, 6, 2, 4, 5 rundown type situation.
That would be impossible. It would be impossible. There's no way you could know without going back to the tape and slowing it down and zooming in. There's no way.
For all the statisticians of the world, scorekeepers of the world, I hope and pray that
there are no rundowns.
Does not happen. Today also up in Boston. Today also up in Boston, they're celebrating Patriots Day. They had the Boston Marathon this morning, but the Guardians went in and spoiled Boston Day. They put up 2 runs in the 7th, 8th, and the 9th, and knock off the Red Sox. 6-0 was your score there. So we got a little early day baseball. We get the Astros coming in tonight. And Houston, I'm not saying they got all their swagger back, but it certainly helps that they took 2 out of 3 from the Rangers. That's the good news for Houston, Chris. The bad news for Houston, they're still trailing everybody in the AL West. Luckily, only 2.5 games back, but they are the current cellar dwellers. They're 2.5 trailing the Mariners, Athletics, Angels, and then the division leading Texas Rangers. I know you had I know you had the AL West division leader sitting at 8-8 on April 15th in your preseason predictions, right?
And I'm a little shocked. I won't lie. And it's it is interesting when you go back and you look at how deep this particular division is with Texas and Seattle and Houston. And then heck, the Angels are out there looking pretty good. So who knows, man? This is going to be an interesting game. I think tonight with Vines going for his first time this season is going to be an interesting, outlook to see what he's got. Is he going to be somebody that they feel like they can throw into that 5th spot? I mean, how are they going to handle that 5th spot with Spencer Strider having announced on Saturday that he was out for the year after having his UCL repaired again? So I'm curious how they handle this situation. I don't know. I mean, the Braves have some great prospects, but I don't know that you can backfill this rotation with, I mean, you've got 2 old guys already, and I mean, I'm sorry, they just is what it is. Morton's velocity is down to 93, 94 from 95, 96. Is he going to strike out 200 this year? Probably not. It's not with that velocity. He's walking a lot of people. Do we feel confident? I mean, this rotation is now getting to a very shaky point. And I mean, you gotta really look and see whether or not you can fill it with guys from AAA, or does Alex Anthopoulos have to go get somebody?
It's uncanny how you and I are on the same wavelength there, because I was just getting ready to ask you, at what point do you start thinking, or when do you make a decision, hey, maybe we need to go ahead and try and get somebody to help out with this rotation? Because obviously you're not anticipating losing not just a starter, but one of your flat-out aces in the entire major league.
I think you start putting out the feelers now, and you make that decision no later than May 1st.
So you're thinking sooner than later?
I'm thinking within the next 2 weeks we'll have a decision on whether or not he's got to go get somebody.
Right.
Because I think he's putting the feelers out now. What's the guy out in Oakland right now who's tearing it up, and are they willing to deal with us again after we've kind of fleeced them a couple times?
You know, it's funny you say that because I swear I read some article in the preseason, and it basically said, well, there's no more A's for the Braves to basically pillage and fleece.
Mackenzie Gore struck out 11 this weekend, so
you're saying there still is a glimmer of hope for a lifeline from the American League West then as a potential pick.
There may be indeed. So I'm just saying if you know, I think Anthopoulos is probably putting the feelers out right now. So,
I mean, that makes sense too, right? You don't want to get too far into the season, and whether that even if you're winning games, you'd like to get that solidified and kind of get that chemistry rolling and kind of nail everything down for the second half of the season. But that's why I was curious if you're thinking, you're saying a move potentially closer to the All-Star break, as I was maybe thinking.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot sooner than that.
We will keep our eyes on that. And again, it's going to be a fun week as Houston, my squad, takes on Mo and Chris's Atlanta Braves. Again, 7:10 first pitch tonight. Happy Jackie Robinson Day today to everybody, and thoughts and prayers to our statisticians who will try and keep everybody in line on the scorecards. We're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we've got Caleb JARREAU from the UT Daily Beacon. We're going to talk all things Vols, but really we're going to talk a little football as the orange and white game went down in Knoxville this weekend. We'll get Caleb's thoughts, and we'll talk other odds and ends from Vol Nation as Caleb JARREAU, again, from the UT Daily Beacon, will join us. Quick timeout. You're watching Main Street Sports Today, presented, as always, by our friends at the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. And we're back right after this.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Rolling right along. Wade Neely here, Chris Yao there. We come to you from the Lee Company Studios. Brother Yao is in Columbia. I'm here in Pulaski. And now we shift our focus to Knoxville, where over the weekend, Tennessee got it on. A little infighting, if you will, as it was the orange and white game. Always a fun event to check out, especially over the last couple of years as Coach Heupel's got the teams kind of rolling, and we thought we'd bring in our good buddy Caleb JARREAU from the UT Daily Beacon to help break things down. Caleb, good afternoon. How we doing?
Doing good. How are y'all?
We're great, man. And let's just dive right in here. To me, it felt like the least buzzed and least talked about orange and white game over the last couple of seasons. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing first? And then I guess, secondly, what were some of your key takeaways from a big scrimmage this weekend?
Yeah, I think you can look at it both ways, buzz-wise. I'd say it's probably good that there wasn't buzz. You know what you have in Nico Iamaleava now. You saw him in the Citrus Bowl. Spring game was exactly what you expected. Josh Heupel is not the type of coach that's going to leave, his starting quarterback out there for the whole spring game. He played, I think, 3 or 4 or 5 drives maybe. Called it a day, saw what you needed to see. And really, for me, the biggest takeaways is on one side, you saw what you expected. You saw the offense run well, and you saw the defensive line win the day at the line of scrimmage. Offensive line is banged up. Defensive line might be this team's best unit going into the fall. Tim Banks said he thinks they can have the best defensive line in the country. So with a banged up offensive line and a really, really veteran defensive front, James Pierce Jr., Amari Thomas in the middle, those guys just kind of ate on the weekend, held them to 68 rushing yards, 9 tackles for loss. That's the type of stuff you expect from a veteran front like that. On the outside, I think a pleasant surprise was the wide receiver core. You saw Tulane transfer, Chris Brazel II went over the top, took the top off the defense and caught a dime from Jake Merklinger. Then you saw freshman Mike Matthews shine as well in that wide receiver core. So Heupel said that group might be the deepest he's had since he's been at Tennessee, and we know the receivers that have come through Tennessee. So I would take that as a pretty good indication going into the fall. But I'm with you. I feel like there wasn't a lot of buzz. It's probably for the better. Spring game didn't show too much, showed some newcomers who are living up to expectations so far in the spring game. But at the same token, I mean, if your wide receiver is taking the top off the defense, then obviously something went wrong on your own team since you're playing yourself.
Did anybody, Caleb, in your mind, have a big enough performance, whether that was anticipated or not, to kind of thrust themselves higher up the depth chart and into a bigger role with the team?
I feel like I mentioned him already, Chris Brazel from Tulane. He's a guy that, I mean, if you look at the depth chart just without any past knowledge, he's probably a guy that slots in maybe at wide receiver 3, or he's a guy who's a rotational piece to that wide receiver room. I think he made a big statement himself. And all in all, I mean, when you look at it top to bottom, some of the secondary guys, when you go back and watch film, are fighting for spots. I mean, Boo Carter didn't look bad as well, running with the 2s on defense. He'll probably be your return man as well. But that secondary is still a big question mark going into the season because, like I said previously, if your offense is doing well against yourself, then either your offense is really good or your defense is messing up. And I think it was a mix of both on Saturday at the orange and white game. Lots of new faces in the secondary, and you have a lot of bodies, and the coaching staff, defensive coordinator Tim Banks, Josh Heupel keep talking about how athletic and how lengthy that secondary is. But you have athleticism. It doesn't mean that you're going to be the best secondary in the country. You still have to find guys to play those positions. And I really think going into fall camp, outside of maybe shoring up some offensive line spots and health there, finding out who your starting cornerbacks and safeties are is really going to be crucial rolling into fall camp.
Now, as we've talked about, that defensive line, if you're getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks, it takes a lot of pressure off of your defensive backfield, and that's great. That being said, that's been a strong point for Tennessee over the last couple of years. It appears that will be the case again, or do we just not know because of how banged up the offensive line is?
I think it's safe to assume. I mean, a lot of those guys who have made the defensive line a strength in years past are still here. And I think Heupel said it after a scrimmage this spring that whenever he first took over at Tennessee, the goal was for the defensive line to get to this point through stacking recruiting classes and portal classes and everything like that. You bring back Amari Thomas, who's a leader on that defensive line. James Pierce Jr. has shot up draft boards, rushing off the edge. But like you said, Chris, I mean, when your defensive line is good, it takes pressure off the secondary. I think that's why Tennessee's defense took such a step up last year, not because the secondary was great. I mean, obviously you had guys step up like Kamal Haddon, who made a big improvement, but the defensive line really helps that secondary in the back end because the quarterback can't throw the ball if he's on the ground. And if the run game isn't there, then you can drop your linebackers into pass coverage and commit to that. So I think having a good defensive line is essential in the system that Tim Banks wants to run. They want to be able to create a rush with 4 men. I think in the fall they'll be able to do that. Now, how consistently they'll be able to do that depends on some of the pieces they fill in around Amari Thomas, James Pierce Jr. If Elijah Simmons becomes a consistent piece, some of those guys have to continue to fill their spots and their roles. But I think that 4-man rush can be good. You'll really see the Tim Banks offense kind of similar to last fall, or the Tim Banks defense, similar to last fall, kind of hit its stride because he wants to attack, get downhill, and sack the quarterback. Well, if you don't have to blitz to get pressure on the quarterback, then your defense is in very good shape.
Well, if you do have to blitz, then you've got some great linebackers, and let's talk a little bit about this linebacking core because Keenan Peely will be back. Did he play Saturday?
I don't believe he played. They
don't know why he would, but yeah,
exactly. I mean, the injury list was very long, and a lot of those guys weren't injured either. There's, just no reason to play. I think Dylan Sampson caught the opening kickoff and called it a day there. So,
but Arian Carter, he made a big splash last year toward the end of the year. This linebacking core could be really where they make their bones.
Yeah, and this linebacking core, if I was a offense, I'd be scared. You have guys like Jeremiah Thielander, who did play in the spring game, and he was everywhere. That is a guy who does not care what is happening. He's putting his helmet on the football somewhere. And that's the type of guys that I mentioned it previously. That's the type of players Tim Banks wants in his defense. He wants those aggressive linebackers who are able to step up and kind of get in the mix. And then this year with Keenan Peely back, that's a true middle linebacker type guy. So you have room for an Arian Carter who maybe if you want to blitz, you can step up and blitz him. If you need him in coverage, you can back up. If you just need to fill the box, he can hold his ground. Last year with Aaron Beasley, he had to play the middle linebacker spot because Keenan Peely went down with injury. Aaron Beasley is not a true Mike linebacker. While he did play well, he's a guy that wants to get on the weak side, a smaller guy. If Keenan Peely can stay healthy and continue to anchor that middle linebacker spot and let some of those young guys like Arian Carter kind of roam free, like I said, this defense can be very dangerous. And it is not – those are guys you don't want to see as a running back when that hole opens up.
Caleb, we've been talking defense. We're talking about Caleb JARREAU from the UT Daily Beacon, breaking down the orange and white game from this weekend in Knoxville. And I can't help myself. You guys have been talking defense. You've been talking offensive and defensive line play, but I'll take the bait. It's always, for me, going to be so exciting to watch quarterback play and the receiving room. Like you just mentioned, it seems like Tennessee took some steps in the right direction and potentially another quality, just really deep receiving core. How much of a taste did we see from guys like Matthews and Brazil? You said coming from Tulane, which obviously is not a sleeper of a program by any stretch. How excited should Tennessee fans get about this receiving core heading into this fall? And then maybe where those expectations land with kind of reality, I suppose.
Yeah, I think you should be very excited as Tennessee fans going into this season. I mean, you bring back Brew McCoy, who's going to give you that physical outside presence. And for me, when he went down with injury last year, not only did you lose a wide receiver, you lost a guy who loved to block on the perimeter and open up guys for who's next that we talk about, slot receiver Skrull White. He is also back. He did not participate in the spring game on Saturday. He was dealing with some family stuff. So you've got him in the slot, a proven guy who you know what you're going to get. You've got Brew McCoy on the outside, another proven guy that you know what you're going to get. Dante Thornton Jr., who transferred in from Oregon last year. If you remember, he played in the slot a lot of the beginning of the season and did not look like himself in that position. As soon as they switched him to outside wide receiver, he finally hit his stride. And of course, as he finally hits that stride at outside wide receiver, he gets hurt against Missouri catching a deep touchdown pass, and he's out for the year with a leg injury. He's going to be back healthy. You mix in Chris Brazzell, who's also an outside receiver, big, tall, lengthy guy. And with both Thornton and Brazzell, you have big frames for Nico Iamaleava to hit without sacrificing speed and athleticism, which for Hypo's offense fits perfect because now you're giving Nico a big target to hit. Not only are you giving a big target to hit, these guys are getting off the line and cooking cornerbacks. I mean, Jalen McMurray got cooked on the deep ball to Brazzell at the spring game, and that's no bad defensive back, the kid from Temple, who transferred to Tennessee. But that's just how do you guard that? I mean, he's over 6 foot tall and getting off the line at a crazy speed. Mix that with some of these young freshmen. Braylon Staley in the slot has looked really good in practice. If Squirrel White twists an ankle, gets banged up, then you've got a freshman you can throw in there who will keep the same athleticism, maybe not know the offense as well, but a guy that could be a reasonable choice at slot. And Mike Matthews, like we mentioned, that's an outside wide receiver who shined in the spring game and who you expect to shine coming from Georgia high school football. I think he was a low 5-star or high 4-star out of high school. That's a guy you expect to get in the mix. When you look around the rest of the room, you still have guys like Caleb Webb and Chaz Nimrod in the mix who are both sophomores or redshirt sophomores coming up through the offense, learning the offense. And Chaz Nimrod caught a touchdown in the spring game as well. Mm-hmm. So those guys are solid options too. I mean, that wide receiver core is deep. You have a very good 5-star quarterback in Nico Iamaleava, and you give him big targets to hit on the outside that are going to get open. And it was kind of the sense during the press conference too that Heupel sensed it as well. The offense is going to get back to 2022 explosiveness, it feels like, with the wide receiver core and Nico at quarterback versus in 23 where maybe the big plays weren't there, the offense would stall out too easily.
Did I read that right? 10,000 fans in attendance, limited seating for Saturday. And with that being said, how big of a pop did Nico get when he got in the game for a limited action there?
It was pretty good. I mean, the way the spring game works, they just keep rotating out. So we can't really say if Nico led orange or white mostly to victory. They just kind of rotate through. But I would say it's a little under 10,000. It looked like there were some empty seats in the fan sections, but pretty good pop. I mean, loud crowd noise. Recruits loved it watching him. There's a ton of recruits there behind the end zone. And I think his first possession, he was in front of the recruits as well. So that was a good sight for them. Speaking of defensive line, both of his first possessions, he was sacked, which basically means a defensive lineman touched him while he was in the pocket since it's in the spring game. So he didn't get off to the best start, but I think we chalked that up to offensive line injuries, and he ended up wowing whenever. I think the consensus between reporters, we were talking about this after the game, when Josh Heupel wanted to score, they scored. When they were just kind of mixing plays and kind of testing stuff, they had 3 and outs. But when they wanted to score or ran 2-minute drill, they were rolling over the defense in the spring game.
That's interesting because I would like to think that will be the way it goes this fall. Obviously, the competition will be tough, but I'm looking forward to it, man. I think there are bright days ahead. Portal opens tomorrow. Anybody you expect to go in that will matter?
Name-wise, I mean, you obviously have guys. I don't think anybody from the secondary would enter. Obviously, the team is going to have exit meetings today and tomorrow. I don't think anybody from the secondary is going to enter the portal. Nobody, I don't think that would be a contributor, Chris. I think maybe guys who the coaches let them know that they don't have playing time coming in the fall. But a lot of these positions have been highly contested. And if they're not highly contested, it's because you've got freshmen and sophomore who are waiting their turn to play the positions. As for who Tennessee wants to get out of the portal, do you look at running back depth? That was a question with Cameron Seldon hurting his shoulder. Freshman Peyton Lewis also has an injury that kept him out of spring. Do you want somebody, another, Division I Power 5 running back who could slot in behind Dylan Sampson as a depth piece? Because, I mean, everybody knows running backs are probably your first guys on the field that get hurt. They're getting hit every play. Do you need more depth at that position? And then I still think you look at the secondary. Did the guys you bring in fit? Because the secondary leaves a lot to be desired after the spring game, I feel like. And maybe that's injuries, maybe it's depth. There's just so many rotating pieces in that group right now. It's hard to get a feel on where they want to go come fall.
Before we get you out of here, I know you got just a few minutes left. Kim Caldwell could be hiring Alabama's Roman Tubner and recently promoted Mississippi State associate head coach Gabe Lazo as assistants to her staff. Those are two pretty big gets if they pull that off.
Yeah, I agree. You got two young, energetic coaches who bring a lot of energy, which is the same thing Kim Caldwell is bringing to this program. And the biggest one for me is the assistant coach from Alabama, because he was recruiting highly touted women's basketball players and athletes to Coleman Coliseum in Tuscaloosa. So imagine what happens. Imagine what happens when you get him in Knoxville and give him the resources that Tennessee is throwing at this program right now. Let him get some recruits in Thompson Bowling and show him the trophies and the banners, and really let him recruit at a place that I feel like is one of the easiest places to recruit, at least if not in the SEC, but in the country as well.
Certainly, we'll keep tabs on Coach Caldwell as she kind of rounds her staff out. And Caleb, we thank you as always for joining us, but it's always especially fun to you can never really dive too soon into football season, so it was perfect timing to get you on. Thanks for your breakdown of orange and white game, and we'll chat with you soon, my friend.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all having me on.
All right, thank you, Caleb. That was Caleb JARREAU of the UT Daily Beacon. We talked orange and white game. Chris, a lot to be excited about if you're a Tennessee fan, and you guys got into the weeds with it a little bit there. I mean, you're breaking down the linebacker play. I just can't when you tell me Josh Heupel and you talk about the Vols, I can't do anything. It's like staring at the eclipse last week. I just can't do anything but kind of help myself of focusing on the offense. But there are some sneaky good pieces on that defensive side that will probably be called on to win games for Tennessee.
If you look at the last two NFL drafts, Tennessee's had more defensive players drafted. They make their bones with that defensive line. You think about the best Tennessee players that you can think of right off the top of your head. I mean, you look at Byron Young. I mean, to me, that defensive line is the best. It's the best position group we have. And if you're a Tennessee fan, you can't overstate that. I mean, and again, as we talked with when we talked with Dean Kokinas on Friday, that's what he said. I build my teams from the defensive line. My pass rush is where, we're successful. And if you have a successful pass rush in this era of college football, you're going to be successful. And so the way Josh Heupel has built this team, the way Rodney Garner has built this team, I think they are poised for a big year in 2024. And most of that is based off of the front seven.
I mean, I would agree. And I was semi-facetious there when I say, because you make a fantastic point. I mean, every elite team has that depth of quality players, if not stars, on the defensive line and along the offensive line. And you can have all the skill in the world on the offensive side, but if you can't protect your quarterback and if you can't block to let your receivers get open, you're really kind of sunk right there. So the fact that Tennessee does possess that, especially on the flip side on the defensive line, that just opens up so much more for the rest of your next two levels with linebackers and secondary.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good year.
Should be fun. Tennessee opens up on August 31st versus Chattanooga. They get NC State on September 7th. And as Chris said, the portal's getting ready to get cranked up. We'll have more on that coming up in our next segment. But that will certainly be interesting, because that's the wild thing to me is you kind of almost are in this constant state of recruiting. And just when you think you've kind of got your team finalized, as a coach, certainly, but even as a fan, I'm learning the roster. I'm thinking I know who the guys are. Boom, you could go out and land a kid that you didn't even necessarily have on your radar or think was going to be leaving somewhere. And now he suddenly is making a huge impact on your program.
Yep. There you go.
So it will be a couple of things to keep tabs on. Thanks to Caleb again for joining us. Caleb JARREAU with the UT Daily Beacon. Quick timeout. When we come back, we will get ready to wrap things up here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We got the grab bag. We told you guys about the portal. We got some NFL news to break down. Got a couple of things to potentially discuss in terms of women's basketball as the WNBA draft will kick off tonight. And we also have some news out of Tennessee State that we certainly have to make mention of before we get out of here. So Chris and I will come back right after this. You're watching the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia broadcast of Main Street Sports Today. We're back right after this timeout.
I'm Maurice Patton, and on Main Street Sports Today, we bring you the voices of your favorite teams from preps to pros.
Otherwise known as the VOT, Mike Keith.
The bottom line is we can teach Will Levis woke.
I just don't know who's going to work with you on your base stealing now that Eli's gone.
Well, that has nowhere to go but up. And I was just like, oh, guys, not again. Can we just bury that, burn that footage, and not bring it back?
No.
No. Thank you. We'll keep it going past the All-Star break, and looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. There's always a good story to tell.
Can you guess where I am today, Mo? Where am I?
It's not Reese Smith Field, is it?
Yeah.
Because anytime you play Chicago, you want to win. That's
you got that right. And
that's bottom
a
line.
buzz.
When you're walking the dog, you keep the bags that you need for the dog in the bag, and you don't even have to wear it. You can just hold it, which is what I do when I walk the dog. So
I think the fanny pack probably needed a little rebranding.
It did. It really did.
On your show logo, we've got to get a puck in there. There's a basketball. There's a football. There's a baseball. Maybe it's not a puck. How about Mo brandishes a hockey stick?
Tune in daily at 2 p.m. on Main Street Media TV.
Final segment, folks. You are watching Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Wade Neely here, Chris Yao there. We are in the Lee Company mobile studios. Well, one of us is. I'm here in P-Town. Chris is in Columbia. And Chris, how about we roll out the grab bag for the last segment?
We'll just toss it right out of the closet into the floor and dump it out
and see what we get. So we got a lot of things going on. Some good news. We do unfortunately have some tragic news, and I suppose we should begin with some sad news. And this is so unfortunate, obviously, especially considering that we just had Tennessee State University Athletic Director Mickey Allen on the program last week. And unfortunately, Dr. Mickey Allen had to release a statement over the weekend as TSU football player. I hope I get this first name right. Chazon Page. I'm praying that I got that right, but he was unfortunately killed this weekend in Nashville, walking across Gallatin Pike by a hit-and-run driver. That accident occurred Sunday morning. TSU's department confirming the news over the weekend as well. Dr. Mickey Allen saying he helped bring out the best in others with his outstanding leadership on and off the field, positive attitude, and genuine care for the people around him. It is extremely difficult to lose a member of our athletics family as we mourn the loss. Chazon Page will be deeply missed by a Big Blue family, as he was a phenomenal young man and a leader who made everyone around him better. Thoughts and prayers are with our football student athletes, coaches, family, and friends. And Chris, obviously tragic news, especially for the local formerly playing at Lipscomb Academy. And TSU, we had just talked to Mickey, and we talked about what a big weekend they had. And it just kind of puts things into perspective that this game of life is precious, and TSU loses one of their members of their football program over the weekend in a hit-and-run accident.
Yeah. So our thoughts, of course, going out with the TSU family, and of course, Chazon's family as well. Also, earlier today, it was announced that yesterday, Steve Sloan, former Bradley Central and Alabama quarterback, and of course coached briefly at Vanderbilt University, where he led the Commodores to the Peach Bowl in 1974, I believe. So passed away yesterday. So yeah, tragic news, man.
Yeah, it was tough. And I saw the TSU news last night on social. Some friends kind of sharing that, and it's just so tough. So our thoughts and prayers certainly go out to our friends in Nashville at TSU as, again, they mourn the loss of one of their outstanding young men and one of their football players. Chris, moving on in our topic list here, WNBA draft is going to kick off tonight. I love the fact that they don't really dilly-dally in the sense March Madness just ends, and while everybody's kind of fresh and thinking about some of the young ladies that balled out during the tournament, you roll right into the WNBA draft, which kicks off this evening.
Well, yeah, and unfortunately for those college players, they'll be playing professional basketball within the next month, and they don't really get a lot of downtime. And that's one reason that, women's basketball players rookie wise have been kind of not great, as they say, in the past, because, they end up playing about 65 games in a calendar year, if not more. So it gets a little rough. But yeah, tonight's going to be a lot of fun as Caitlin Clark, Cameron Brink, Camila Cardoso, Rakia Jackson, Angel Reese, and much more will be in New York for the draft. It's going to be a big night for the WNBA. I certainly expect that they will see an uptick in viewership. I will certainly be paying attention, which I typically am, but looking forward to see where Rakia Jackson is taken. And, obviously the draft order is interesting because the defending champs, Las Vegas, do not have a first round pick. So they won't pick until the 4th pick of the 2nd round.
If there's one team that can withstand that, it's the Aces. I
sure.
Suppose. But
yeah. Them in New York.
Certainly would help somebody.
Pick. Yeah.
I
don't know if they need anybody.
No, I mean, their roster's set up pretty nicely, but having a little extra depth and then also obviously building toward the future would be clutch. Caitlin Clark is expected to go number 1 overall to the Indiana Fever. Cameron Brink, at least according to CBS, in their mock draft, is projected to go to the Sparks. Rakia Jackson, you just mentioned, would potentially be selected 3rd to the Chicago Sky. And then rounding out the top 5 would be Cardoso to the Sparks. How about the Sparks, by the way? You get picks 2 and 4.
They need it. They need it. They got the 4th pick from Seattle in a trade, but they have been putrid recently, so they need all the help they can get. And Chicago going with a Tennessee player worked out last time with Candace Parker. So
yeah, they got a little familiarity with the pipeline there. 5th pick goes to the Dallas Wings. JC Sheldon from Ohio State is projected to go there. Chris, I got to ask you, we're talking about Caitlin Clark. Did you get to see any of the Saturday Night Live skit over the weekend as she made her SNL debut?
I saw her spot with on Weekend Update, which is my favorite part of SNL. So when they write the jokes for each other, it's throw the rules out the window and it's hilarious. It never fails to make me laugh. And Caitlin's writing jokes was absolutely perfect for Michael Che. I thought it was as good of an SNL segment as I've seen in a while, and probably reached a demographic that SNL hasn't reached in quite a while either.
Are we allowed to read one of these jokes? I'm not real sure.
Can't imagine why we wouldn't.
All right. Well, just how about this, by the way? Caitlin kind of got poked fun at by Michael Che, but then she just quickly turned it on him a little bit. And she said that the Indiana Fever, again, this is her writing these for Michael, said the Indiana Fever have the 1st pick in Monday's draft. A reminder that the Indiana Fever are a WNBA team and not what Michael Che gave to dozens of women while he was at Purdue University. So
fantastic joke.
Outstanding joke. You obviously get to throw a little shade at Purdue while you're in there too. So, I mean, that is top to bottom, top-notch stuff from Caitlin Clark, who internet was just fawning over what a good job. And I thought it was a fantastic segment over the weekend. There was also even a Beavis and Butthead sighting on SNL. If you saw that one this weekend, if you haven't seen it and you're a child of the 90s, you owe it to yourself to give it a quick Google. I won't say much more on that because I guarantee you producer Mark is going to be heading straight to YouTube if he hasn't seen it already as soon as we're done. Other topics in the grab bag. Chris, you mentioned the portal window opening up tomorrow, and we've kind of dived into that. How much of a splash in terms of headlines are you anticipating coming out of tomorrow?
0. I don't.
Not even
I
a
feel
little
like
old splash.
I feel like at this point, I mean, here's the thing. At this point, like Caleb said, if you're going into the portal, it's because you aren't going to get playing time on your current team. And if that's the case, then how much of a splash could you be? I mean, there may be some names that pop up that we've seen and heard, but I don't know if we're going to get any real splash type stuff. A couple of folks who have announced their intention to enter the portal. 4-star cornerback Eric Reed out of Georgia Tech. A 4-star wide receiver Keandre Lambert-Smith has left Penn State. But yeah, I mean, that's about it. 4-star quarterback Nick Evers left Wisconsin. That's a name that we've heard. So that's about the only name that I see on this list that I have heard. But yeah, so I don't expect it's going to be a big deal, but I do think obviously you'll start seeing some folks finding their way in, and Lavelle Wright, running back out of Kentucky, has announced his intention. So
feels like some of these guys too. Yeah, it feels like some of these guys, they're not going to be splashy names, but we're going to get later into the year and get deep into the regular season or even the postseason, and you're going to be like, ooh, I'm really glad we got that guy. We may not have even banked on him having to play much, but having a guy like that as either a backup or a secondary option can be clutch. Right.
Yeah, the depth pieces that you're going to get from this are probably the most important things. And you definitely want to play the portal a little bit, I think. If for nothing else, again, the depth, but also bringing some guys to compete.
Yeah,
put some pressure on your fellas.
Yeah, like you said, exactly. Put a little heat on some folks on your roster. Hey, speaking of roster moves, one of our final quick hitters here in the grab bag, Devontae Smith looks like he's got a new deal with the Philadelphia Eagles, who have had their share of splashy moves over the offseason, some good, some bad, many would say. But Devontae's locked up in Philadelphia, it seems like.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like this is a good move. Obviously, the wide receiver market has been ridiculous as of late. So going ahead and getting him locked up was a big deal for the Eagles, and Devontae is probably, Devontae and AJ together is a dynamic duo. It's the only way that Jalen Hurts makes sense. So you've got to lock him up as long as you can. And so kudos to Philly, and apparently he likes it there. So good for him. See how it works out for the Eagles in the long run. 3 for 75 is a heck of a deal.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's a quality, and rumor or reportedly at least 51 milli of that is guaranteed. So some new toys potentially for Devontae to go out and snag there. And you're right. That's what makes Hurts so effective. That's what makes that team and that offense so explosive at times is the combo, obviously, of him and Brown, who seem like perfect. That's a perfect little triumvirate, that three, when they all come together.
No doubt.
Man,
what a Monday.
Yeah, we kind of got a little bit of everything. We've talked Masters. Got to give a quick shout again to Virgil Herring, who joined us. Scotty Scheffler running away with it down the stretch. We'll see what happens with him. And certainly the real drama, Chris, obviously, was we were just waiting to see if Mrs. Scheffler would make the call and say, hey, I need you to come off the course. This baby's about to pop out. But
thank goodness that didn't happen, because, boy, it could have been rough.
It could have been sticky, and it could have been a very awkward situation. But luckily, we didn't have to deal with that. Props to Scotty for winning, and obviously thanks to Virgil again for joining. And thanks to Caleb JARREAU, who just joined us a moment ago from the UT Daily Beacon. We talked Vols. We talked Braves. Braves and Astros will kick it off tonight. I'm sure, I am almost positive Chris and I will talk about that on the Tuesday edition of Main Street Sports Today. I'm assuming I got you locked in for tomorrow, Chris. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. We'll be here.
I'm loving it, man. Shout out to Mo Patton. He's on vacation this week. We're going to hold down the fort. Thanks to producer Mark. Wade Neely's saying so long. This is Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We'll catch you next time. We out.